The reactions in Colombia to these pictures of Julio Velas' arrest in Venezuela have not been long in coming. Several social movements see him as a key to unraveling the plans of the Colombian far right to destabilize the Venezuelan government.
There is no doubt that the so-called Democratic Center Party has been building links with the far right in Latin America to destabilize a number of governments and political processes in the continent.
Human rights advocates in Colombia go further. They point to Julio Velas' close political and ideological links with Álvaro Uribe. Velas was elected as a local councillor in 2010 for the National Unity Party, which was then led by former President Uribe, a fervent opponent of the Venezuelan process.
President Uribe even said on one occasion that he hadn't had time to destabilize Venezuela enough. So it's very serious, but it's hardly new. For at least a decade, it's been systematically infiltrating paramilitaries into Venezuela.
Campaigners for the victims of Colombia's conflict say Velas' close relationship with Uribe is clear from these pictures. They show him on trial for the murder of his wife, alongside his lawyer Jaime Granados. Granados has defended not only Uribe, but also several of his closest associates who are now in prison or on the run.
He is one of those closest to President Uribe and his government team. And remember, that team included many who have now been sentenced or who are fugitives from justice. So Velas was part of that whole scheme of criminal organization set up by Uribe.
Via social media, the former president has denied any connection with the arrested former local councillor. But he reiterated his opposition to the Bolivarian revolution and to President Nicolas Maduro. The victims of Colombia's right-wing paramilitaries are hoping that Julio Velas' arrest will expose the murky plans of the extreme right across Latin America to undermine the processes of change in the region.
Which justice should be applied, or rather amnesty and pardon, in the case of political crimes.
Early this year, when the Historical Commission for the Conflict submitted a detailed report on the origins and complexities of Colombia's armed conflict, the necessity that all different actors bear responsibility for their role on the conflict and its victims became one of the most pressing issues.
A truth commission would attempt to clarify the dynamics, logic, and effects that this conflict has produced. That would be absolutely fundamental to establish the responsibilities, not just of the guerrillas, but also of the paramilitaries in the state, because all of them bear responsibility for crimes that have affected the civilian population.
The issue of victims has been the most widely discussed out of the 5-point negotiation agenda. Now the creation of the Truth Commission might give hope that the agreements regarding the victims of the conflict are moving forward. Natalia Margarita, TeleSUR, Bogotá, Colombia.
Here in the state of Oaxaca, members of the 75,000-strong Section 22 of the National Teachers Union have carried out a series of actions and protests that seek to build up to a boycott of this Sunday's elections. Today, the teachers maintain a blockade of a Pemex oil refinery in the central part of the state, forcing gas stations in the region to close. As of now, things have remained calm, although groups of motorists and taxis are blocking the area around the protesting teachers, increasing the tensions. Now, yesterday, the teachers shut down the state's international airport, as well as took over toll booths in the region's major highways. Now, the teachers have joined the call to boycott the elections because they argue that the level of corruption, violence, and instability is a product of the political class. They also continue to demand the cancellation of a nationwide so-called education reform that they argue is an attack on their labor rights and a means to privatize the education system. Now, although the polemic teacher evaluations was recently struck down from the reform, the militant teachers here in Oaxaca, as well as other states, demand that the entire reform be revoked. Although no major incidents of violence with state security forces has occurred as of yet, the teachers have expressed their doubt that their actions will be received peacefully by the authorities as Election Day nears. This is Clayton Kahn reporting for TeleSUR here in Oaxaca City.
Falk, FIFA Secretary General, is described in a federal court indictment as an unidentified high-ranking FIFA official who in 2008 transferred the sum to then FIFA Vice President Jack Warner. Valk has not yet been formally accused.
Warner is among 14 FIFA officials and corporate executives who will face trial in the US for running a criminal enterprise that involved more than $150 million in bribes.
It was definitely for all of us, I think, a very difficult time what's happened these last 48 hours, no question about it.
The former head of the Brazilian Football Confederation, Ricardo Teixeira, is facing charges of money laundering and tax evasion as part of the FIFA corruption scandal. Teixeira's successor as president of the CBF Federation, José María Marín, was arrested May the 27th by the Swiss police along with 6 other executives of FIFA on indictments for corruption brought by US authorities. Teixeira has yet to be indicted by a judge. In 2012, Teixeira left the CBF among accusations of taking bribes from a sports marketing firm. He denied the allegations and was not formally charged.
Concealing evidence, being unable to interview key actors, and being blocked from getting access to more information are some of the obstacles denounced today by members of the Honduras National Congress, a special anti-corruption commission that has 20 days to investigate 12 important corruption cases from the last 10 years. However, so far, progress has been slow.
We need to give names to let people know who are responsible in all these corruption cases, especially in the case of the Social Security Institute, and also to present proof in the other cases.
The commission was originally created to investigate the embezzlement of $350 million from the Social Security Institute in 2012 and 2013 during the presidency of Porfirio Lobo. Many believe that adding 11 more cases is just a trick to deviate attention. The members of the commission have orders to avoid giving details to the press, and the declarations of the government spokesman seem to be focused on attacking those who demand more investigation.
We have seen violations of the Constitution by the ruling National Party. We are now waiting as their next step is to discredit the political opposition, discredit the people who are currently in the streets protesting against the corruption cases. Then they will repress these people.
The Special Commission was a response to public pressure demanding an investigation into the embezzlement of the public health system, but the lack of progress would only increase the discontent across the country, with one of the demands being the resignation of current President Juan Hernández. Gerardo Torres, teleSUR, Central America.
The Islamic State group was repelled by the Syrian army and national defense forces for the second day in the city of Hassakeh in northeastern Syria. The Islamic State group extremists have brought a large number of fighters to break into the mainly Kurdish and Christian city.
Our morale is very high, despite the fact that Turkey has sent weapons to help the enemy. We will be defeating terrorism and we will be victorious, even if the rest of the world continues to arm these mercenaries.
Despite alleged concerns by Turkish government over the arrival of Islamic State group's fighters on its border, in a striking development, the Turkish opposition newspaper Cumhuriyet published a new video of Turkish trucks transporting ammunition and drugs and shields for the extremists in Syria. Also, Turkish authorities have pressured the newspaper about the release. Cumhuriyet republished the video again.
This scandal is not the first and it will not be the last. The Turkish government is too involved in the Syrian crisis. The shipment of weapons was disclosed, but there are surely more that are happening in secret.
On its website, the Turkish newspaper Cumhuriyet stated that the trucks were sent by Turkish intelligence to armed groups in Syria. The video shows a large number of rockets and shells and ammunition placed in cans resembling medical containers. The Turkish police have arrested 4 military officers for issuing orders to inspect the intelligence trucks in late of 2014. Hazem Abdullah, teleSUR, Damascus.